So often when we talk about all these shows and games and movies and kind of the ways that, I don't want to say things have gotten worse, but in certain ways things have gotten worse, right? Things have become hyper-political lately. The pop culture wars feature much more obviously in a lot of different properties and franchises, remakes, reboots. You see it in, you see The Message or whatever in a lot of things, and then you see the reactionary reaction to that, and it becomes this whole thing, right? There's just this constant debate over like, are they shoving this woke shit down our throats, and sometimes they are, and sometimes they're not, and it's just inescapable, right? But another thing, a little less political, but still sort of jarring and awful. Another thing we see is just this trend toward making characters super unlikable. Sometimes it's the main character, sometimes it's side characters, but it's almost as if modern writers can't fathom the notion of people actually just being decent. So we're watching this little video up above, and this is a video about it's book/video game Geralt meets Netflix Geralt, and that's Geralt of Rivia, so The Witcher. And I'm going to pause this my video real quick so we can watch this clip from this video. It's gotten the wheels in my head turning. It's a funny video, but it's also made me kind of feel a little bummed out. But it's got the wheels turning. I'm thinking about what this video's implications are. So let's watch it.
Wait, what about the time Yennefer was trying to kidnap Ciri to sacrifice her to Voleth Mare to get her powers back, and I had to stop her?
Yennefer would never hurt Ciri. Why would you say that? And who's Voleth Mare? Makes no sense.
Well, she lost her powers, and Voleth Mare, the witch in the hut, said that she could get them back.
Yen has never lost her powers. So far, everything you've said has been wrong. You're running out of chances.
And Vesemir wanted to give Ciri the witcher mutagens, make more witchers, till he changed his mind.
Also wrong. Who are you?
Well, if everything in my life is so wrong, what about yours?
Then use Ciri as bait. Yen cared for Ciri, and Vesemir never would have even considered putting her life in danger.
Sounds wonderful.
It was.
I don't want to be Geralt anymore.
All right. So yeah, we have two Geralt of Rivias standing in the forest, and they're having an argument. They both claim to be Geralt, and one of them is saying, all right, well, prove it. Let's tell me some details about your life. And all these details, of course, are nothing like the source material. And so the other Geralt, the book/video game Geralt, is like, no, none of that happened. And I love that part that I showed you just now at the end of the video, where he talks about these things that happened in season 2 with Yennefer trying to, get her powers back by handing Ciri over to the old witch who is totally made up for the show. And then Vesemir trying to give Ciri the Witcher concoction that turns you into a Witcher. And the reaction from the real Geralt is, well, Yennefer would never dream of hurting Ciri, and Vesemir wouldn't either. And Henry Cavill Geralt says, that sounds wonderful, and I don't want to be Geralt anymore. Of course, Cavill has backed out of the role for Netflix after season 3, so this is all very on point. But basically, it really made me think, look at these characters. These are our heroes, right? We have Vesemir, who's the mentor, father figure of Geralt, and you have Yennefer, who is his lover. And these are the good guys, and it's not to say that they don't have their dark sides, but they're in season 2 they're made to be really kind of terrible. Vesemir was a huge letdown, I thought, and then Yennefer, this idea that she would totally betray Geralt and sacrifice an innocent child. Yeah, what does that say about Yennefer? I'm all for flawed characters. I think flawed characters are much, 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 much more interesting than characters who are just perfect in every way. But those flaws shouldn't outweigh, depending on the story you're trying to tell, they shouldn't be so glaring that you don't have anything left but flaws. The flaws are either there to inform conflict or something that these characters can overcome or that gets them into a tight spot. Flaws are great for storytelling. But if if you try to make all your characters this sort of edgy, awful, unpleasant. I mean, this it's not just The Witcher. I'm not trying to pick on The Witcher. It's just that this video got me thinking about it. There's so many other shows. Look at The Rings of Power. Galadriel. So unlikable. Not so much a Mary Sue as a Karen. Just going into every place like she owns it, treating everyone like dog shit, and somehow people are still like, oh, yay, look, it's the commander of the Northern Armies, which is totally how Tolkien refers to her. It's absurd. And she's not the only one. There's Elendil and Isildur always fighting with each other. There's Durin and Durin, Daddy Durin and Baby Durin fighting with each other. Everyone's always fighting with each other. Gil-galad is a manipulative little shit. Everybody in that show, even the hobbits, the Harfoots, who claim to leave no one behind, are leaving people behind left and right. Little Nazi hobbits. There's just that whole show is just populated by people you don't like. It's strange. People you don't like always in some kind of petty conflict with one another, arguing all the time. And then there's and then we've got the new HBO animated show Velma, theoretically a prequel to Scooby-Doo, but again, everyone is just awful on that show, especially Velma. And it's just, you can go show to show to show. You can go to video games. Look at Forspoken. This is a recent one that I played a little of until I just couldn't take it anymore. Forspoken's main character is kind of everything wrong with modern day characters. And no, I don't mean that because she's a woman or because she's black. I know we're not supposed to criticize any character who's a black female because that makes us racist and misogynist, even though there are many great black female characters out there. But in this particular game, this character is not only poorly written and the dialogue's very cringy, but she's just kind of embodies everything wrong with modern day protagonists. She's never genuine. She's always snarky. She's unpleasant. She's always got some kind of sarcastic thing to say. She's very quippy. It's just kind of it's kind of like writers these days think that makes for an interesting character that modern audiences want to see. But I think modern audiences want to see a mix of different kinds of characters. I don't think there's any one type of character that we modern audiences want to see. We want to see funny characters. We want to see tragic characters. I mean, I'm thinking about Breaking Bad. What if both Walt and Jesse were both just like Walt? Imagine that. Imagine what a crappy show that would have ended up being if one of the two wasn't like, a genuine person who had a moral center and a moral code. Jesse's not great at following it. He's easily manipulated, but he has a moral code, and he feels horrible when bad things happen to innocent people, and he's constantly devoured by that guilt. Whereas Walt just only cares about himself and achieving what he wants to achieve and being the best at it. He'll step on anyone, step over anyone, and do any awful thing. Which isn't to say that Walt never does anything good, but for the most part, he's driven so much by his pride, whereas Jesse is not. There's no real ego there with Jesse. He is a caring individual, and if both of those people were the same and just totally unlikable, that show wouldn't have been as good. We need to have, there are some great modern shows. Like I've been getting into BoJack Horseman, and one great thing about that is even though there is lots of that sort of like, it's almost a parody of this kind of character, right? These sort of apathetic, too cool for school characters who don't give a shit about anyone. There's like, it's crazy to me that this goofy cartoon is actually better written and has more complex characters than so many other shows out there right now. So it's just, I don't know. It's just a shame, It's such a shame that that The Witcher went the route it did, making characters like Yennefer and Vesemir so much more unlikable in the second season. I mean, I guess Vesemir was only introduced in the second season. And just across so many different properties, we've seen this. And it's something that when you do see a show that avoids that gives us genuine people, or that gives us troubled people who end up like changing in an interesting way, like Andor or Severance or some of these really terrific shows from last year. Or speaking of animated shows, The Legend of Vox Machina has more complex characters that you care about than something like The Wheel of Time or The Rings of Power or any number of these live action fantasy shows we've been getting. Vox Machina, at least, while these characters do have flaws and they do have conflicts with one another, they actually genuinely care for each other also. And I certainly find myself caring very, very passionately for this group of adventurers in Vox Machina. If you're not watching Vox Machina, please do. Really, animation, like I keep saying, we need more animation because this is where the best stuff's happening. Arcane on Netflix, Vox Machina on Amazon Prime, the Castlevania show on Netflix. There's so many great animated shows out there right now. Cyberpunk, Edge Runners on Netflix. There's lots and lots of great animation. And I just pushed my idea for a Lord of the Rings animated limited series, a very faithful adaptation to the Lord of the Rings in a 2D animation style. I would love to make that show. But anyways, that's all I have to say about that. I will not ramble further. But what other things do you see in modern? I guess the writing of characters in modern TV and video games these days that bother you. I know that a lot of people have complained about sort of the Joss Whedoning and the marveling of so many characters and dialogue and that sort of sense of humor that's all just quippy and flippant. I think that's part of the problem, but I think it's also combined with this like need to be edgy and dark, and so you get this weird like Frankenstein's monster of like quippy, flippant, edgy, dark, and yeah, it's so off-putting. I get so exhausted watching this stuff, and always feeling like we're supposed to think of every single character as this morally gray, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Anyways, thanks for watching. Please do like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.